Hi everyone, we're doing something a little bit different here with this video. Hopefully you saw, but we were asking for your viewer questions on Sleep Play's Instagram and my Instagram over the past week or so. So we wanted to hear from you. What is it that you want to know about your sleep apnea treatment and adjusting to your CPAP machine? So my name's Kristen, and for those of you that don't know me, I am a CPAP user. I was diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea in 2020 and have been faithfully using my AirSense ResMed CPAP machine ever since. And so I've learned a lot over that time, tried a lot of different things, a lot of different masks, and I've also connected with a lot of people that have taught me a lot over that time. So let's go ahead and get started. We did get several questions about masks specifically, so I'm going to save those to the end because we did also get a good variety of other topics that people were wondering about. We're going to start with those. And the great thing about this is that Sleep Play already has a lot of this information on the blog on their website. So you can head to sleepplay.com. So question one, the person is saying they're experiencing a lot of bloating when they wake up after using their CPAP, and they're experiencing some stomach pain. This is actually something that's called aerophagia. And what is happening is essentially you're swallowing some of that pressurized air that's coming from your CPAP machine. And then that's causing some bloating, gas, discomfort, all of those really fun things. So if that's something that you've been dealing with, the first thing that I would definitely recommend is to reach out to your doctor and have a conversation with them, because it could be that the pressure settings on your machine are too high. So if you talk to your doctor or you're waiting for a call back from them, and that wasn't the case, it wasn't the pressure setting, there's a couple of other things that you can do. Sometimes propping yourself up at more of an incline when you sleep can make a difference because it can reduce the chances that you're going to swallow some of that air. And the last thing that can help for aerophagia actually sounds a little bit counterintuitive. If you have a full face mask and you're experiencing this and you are a mouth breather, that could be one of the causes of why you're taking that air back in, because you're mouth breathing unintentionally during the night, but the air didn't have anywhere else to go. It's sort of stuck in your mask right there. So some people will try either temporarily or ongoing switching to just a nasal mask. So the next question is, how do you handle using your CPAP when you have extended power outages or while you're traveling? There's actually a really great solution for this that Sleep Play does have several options on their website. I just so happen to have one, and I've had this for actually years. But there are portable CPAP batteries that you can purchase. So they are an investment, but in my opinion, this has been so worth it ever since I have owned this. So this is the EXP 48 Pro. It's a lithium battery that you can use, charge it up, and then it can power your CPAP machine. This one powers it when fully charged for up to 2 to 3 nights of use of your CPAP. The thing with that is, with most of these batteries, to extend and get the longest life out of it, you do want to shut off some of the additional settings that you have on your CPAP, like the humidity, because that will just take up more power. But this battery is really great. So this one is the 48. There's also a 96 Pro, which actually can power 2 CPAP machines if you need that. But what you would do is, charge this up if you know there's going to be a storm. It's to the extent that you can prepare for that. So outside of the, power outages that we all experience, sometimes depending, especially the climate where it is that you're living, you can also use this if you're a camper or if you're traveling and you're going on overnight international flights. This one is TSA compliant, but you want to double check before you buy one if you're intending on using it on a plane that it is TSA compliant, because it has to do with the wattage of the lithium battery. So there's a couple of different ways to charge this though. So you can charge it in advance if you know that you're going to be needing it. You can also purchase solar chargers as well as car chargers that can go into the cigarette lighter in your car. And the few times I've only luckily had to use it for a few different power outages, it really has been worth it to wake up in the morning knowing that I'm energized, more refreshed, and that actually my medical condition has been treated despite the lack of power. Somebody had a really good question about taking your CPAP on an airplane. They're asking, do you need any kind of letter from your doctor or medical professional saying that you need this CPAP machine to be able to take it on the plane? And the answer to that is no, you don't need any specific letter or documentation to take your CPAP on the plane, at least in the US with TSA US rules. And you'll actually see, once you know what you're looking for, once you are a CPAP user, you will see those CPAP machines roll stolen all around the airport on top of people's carry-on luggage. They're everywhere. So a lot of the TSA security agents, as well as airline staff, do recognize CPAP machines. They recognize the bag and they know that it is necessary medical equipment. It needs to stay with you. It should not be checked under the plane in any circumstances because it's really expensive medical equipment and you need it. So with that, it is best practice to carry, either print it out or have it easily accessible in an electronic medical record on your phone, your prescription, just in case, you ever need to show that, yeah, this is your machine. I have never once been asked any questions about my CPAP machine, but it's best practice probably just to have that accessible should you need it. And the last thing, if you're ever just feeling really anxious, again, there's no need to bring this with you at all. But if you would feel a little bit more comfortable, ResMed, they do make CPAP machines, the AirSense 10 and the AirSense 11. They have on their website an FAA compliance letter that you're able to download, print, etc., what have you, that basically says that, these machines, CPAP machines, are able to be brought on aircrafts and they don't interfere in any way with the functioning of the aircraft. So that's just something else to know. ResMed's already got you covered on that one. Okay, next question is a good one. It's about cleaning your CPAP supplies. So this is really critical for a lot of obvious reasons, but you do have to keep up and maintain the cleaning of your CPAP supplies. So this person was asking, is it worth it to buy a CPAP cleaner? So there are some machines and products on the market, like the Lumen is one that cleans and sanitizes your CPAP supplies. So I don't have one. I'm going to leave that up to your own one personal preference, and also checking in on the specifics of the machine and checking in with your doctor. There are some doctors that have opinions about whether or not you should use that. And there's also some CPAP manufacturers that have opinions about whether or not you should use a CPAP cleaner. There's a couple of different ways that the machines operate. Some of them use UV light to clean and sanitize, and some of them use ozone. So you just want to look into that. There have been some recalls in the past, but if you're comfortable, your doctor is comfortable, and it's not going to void, anything with your warranties of your machine, and it's going to make you more compliant with cleaning it, then go for it. It's definitely can be worth the investment in that way. And they do offer like hospital grade sanitation in these machines. So that is really a big plus that you can't necessarily, just guarantee on your own. But either way, you do need to maintain the cleaning of your supplies. So there's a couple of things that I use because, like I said, I don't have one of those cleaning machines. So every day you do want to wipe down at the very least the stuff that is touching your face, the mask and the frame. And I have these. You can get these on Sleep Play, as well as what I'm going to show you next is little CPAP soaps here, which I really, really love this brand. These CPAP mask wipes. So these are just like little 10 packs, but you can get them in bigger packs as well. This is just because I love to travel. It's a little bit easier. And they're just like wipes, sanitizing wipes. They smell really good. And you just wipe that down every morning because it just gets rid of like the oil and the dirt and the germs and everything that just accumulates naturally on everybody's skin. So you want to do that every day. There's also these CPAP soap has a couple of different options here. So we've gotten, these are really, really good for traveling because I find that to be one of the most tedious and annoying things about traveling is like, how am I going to clean my supplies? So you can just buy these just little tiny soap packs or these soap bubble pads. So they're basically already preloaded with soap. You can just scrub them, rinse them off, and leave your supplies ready to dry. So you want to do some version of that cleaning every single day. And then once a week, you do want to do a big cleaning of all of your supplies. So that's going to include not only the mask and the headgear, but it's also going to include the humidifier, that water chamber that you have, as well as the hose and any filter if you're not ready to replace that. Either way, even if you do buy a cleaner, a lot of them say it doesn't really get the insides of everything. So it just sanitizes like around and the outside. So you still want to do some cleaning on your own, as you do want to soak and then scrub the supplies gently. Scrub them. And you can use something like this CPAP soap, or you can use, if you prefer, or if you're in a pinch, you can use just warm soapy water with Dawn dish soap. All right, sort of related to the cleaning, because this is something that could have to do with this question, but I do feel for the person that asked this. They said that, they have a cold and they're having a really hard time using their CPAP while they have a cold. And similarly, some people will experience seasonal allergies and have a really hard time complying with their CPAP while their nose is running, they're coughing, they have a sore throat already, etc. So with that, I mean, if you really are sick, you're just going to do the best that you can because you've got something else that you're battling along with battling your CPAP compliance if that has been a struggle for you. So get as much CPAP use as you can. If you're having a hard time falling asleep, maybe delay your sleep a little bit later so that by the time you get into your bed, your head is ready to hit the pillow. Staying hydrated is going to be really, really important. And using your heated tubing and your humidifier settings is going to be really important so that you don't wake up with any more of an irritated or sore throat or a nosebleed or any of those things. And if you are sick, you want to make sure that you really are doing the big clean of your CPAP supplies every single day. Because as you can imagine, if you are started to get better and starting to feel better, but then you're just putting that equipment back on your face that is loaded with some of those germs, it's not going to do anything for you in terms of helping you get better. And with that too, make sure you are replacing the filter, the air filter that's either on the side or the back of your machine regularly. You're supposed to be replacing that every 2 weeks anyway. If somebody's not regularly, switching those out, that is what filters the air into your machine and then into your airways. And if all else fails, if you're still not getting better after a couple of days, you probably wanted to talk to your doctor anyway. So I would just let them know that piece. Like, I'm struggling to use my CPAP. So what is the priority here? And what is it that you want me to focus on more? Is it getting better in X, Y, and Z way, or is it using my CPAP at all costs? Our next question is about CPAP humidifiers, and somebody is asking if I would recommend or if they should use the auto humidifier settings that are on their CPAP machine. So I personally love using the heated tubing and the humidifier on my CPAP machine, because if I don't use those things, then I do wake up with a very sore throat. So basically, with your CPAP machine, when you're putting the distilled water in your humidifier chamber and you're using that, you can either do an auto setting or a manual setting. And the manual setting, of course, you can pick what temperature you want that to be at. But I find that really hard and tedious. So I always use the auto setting. So the amount of water that your humidifier will use really is very variable throughout the year based on the climate. It's also based on the elevation too. Interestingly enough, I went to Peru for a couple of weeks a few years ago. In Cusco, Peru, they're at a very high altitude. People have a lot of altitude sickness when they get there because it's so much higher elevation than anybody than you're used to, especially if you're from the US. And so when I was there, my machine was using a lot more water for the humidifier setting than when I'm home. But even when I'm home, depending on the temperature, what it's like in my room, the temperature outside, some nights I use barely any water in the chamber, and then literally the next night I could use an entire chamber of water for the humidifier. So there's just so many variables that I don't really know how to assess as I'm going to bed at night, and I wouldn't want to have to keep changing those manual settings. So I rely on the auto setting for the humidifier, but I highly recommend using a humidifier and heated tubing. All right, we have made it to the mask-related questions portion of this Q&A. A mask obviously is such a hot topic for so many reasons, and especially when you're first starting out, it is really hard to know what mask is going to be right for you. So that was essentially the question that somebody had asked. How do you know what type of mask will be best when you're first starting out? So not only like the type of mask, but also the location of the hose. So we'll start with the location of the hose. So there's several different types of masks that you'll see out on the market. I have actually tried a lot of them, and I don't even have the one that I currently use. Like right here, I do currently use a full face mask, the F30i from ResMed. That one is in my room, so I don't have that here. But I've tried so many different ones, over the years that I just wanted to show them all to you. So the mask can either have a hose connection up at the top of your head right here or right in front of your mouth. So in general, you can choose which of those you want to start out with based on the position that you spend the majority of your time sleeping in. If you sleep primarily on your back, which is what I do, you are probably going to be more successful with a hose that comes on the top of your head here. And that's because we do all move around a little bit in the night. Even if you stay majority on your back, you're still shifting around a little bit. And so that is going to allow the hose to still be propped up. It can be up over your pillow, and not shift around your mask too much so that you don't experience any leaks. If you are a side sleeper, you kind of like move all over the place. You have all different kinds of positions during the night. You might want a mask that has the hose right in the front here, because that, again, think about if you're switching sort of back and forth, what is going to have the least impact on the positioning of the mask on your face. So that just gives you a little bit more flexibility in that way. But try them out. Different things are going to work for different people. It's all about what's the most comfortable for you. In terms of the types of masks, again, this can be somewhat trial and error, which is frustrating because one, you do want, as soon as you are starting out with the treatment, you want to just like hit the ground running and be successful with it. And also, if you keep having to buy masks, that adds up. What you can do, and definitely comment down below, so we can all help each other out, is look around, talk to other people, find other people on social media, and find out what mask it is that they like, and did they start out with something different, and how did they get to that decision. So for me, I started out like a lot of people do. I wanted something that was going to be the least like invasive, that I was probably not going to feel so much on my face. So I started out with a nasal mask only. So it literally just went right under my nose, but it didn't cover my mouth at all. And this one I actually just did a review of. This was not the one that I started out with. That one is long gone, and this is new. That was like several years ago. But this is a nasal cradle mask, the AirTouch N30i from ResMed. This one really, spoiler alert, the reason why I switched away from these is because I would wake up during the night and my mouth was open. So all of the air was just coming out. I needed a full face mask to deal with that. But if I didn't, I would definitely use this mask because it has a new feature on it. This is like right hot off the presses of this moisture wicking fabric here. So that just takes another layer out of it of feeling uncomfortable with your CPAP mask. But most people will start out with this, a nasal mask, because look, it's the least invasive, but if that doesn't work for you, there are some barriers there, like I said, in terms of your breathing. You can then switch to a full face mask. And there are a couple different types of full face masks too that you can use. But they just all have different designs to them, different ways of clipping things in, so you just kind of want to see which one is going to be right for you. Don't be afraid to ask other people, and don't be afraid to try out some new things. The most important thing is you want to make sure that whichever mask you use, you are figuring out and problem solving any leaks that you may have, which was the next question actually anyway. Somebody was saying, are there any tips, for avoiding leaks when you're using a full face mask? So as you can imagine, the full face mask, I'll just take this one out here. This is not the one that I currently use, but I did actually use this one for years before I found the ResMed F30i. It does look pretty similar, actually. This is the Philips Dreamwear full face mask. So they have very similar designs. I just find that the F30i is the silicone plastic is a little bit more flexible and a little bit more comfortable, but still with the full face mask, you can see, it goes under your nose and then it covers your mouth. So there are a lot of points where it's touching your face where a leak could potentially come in. So a couple of things that you want to do if you're experiencing leaks. First, you want to make sure that you are on schedule for replacing your supplies. So there's a cadence that you need to be replacing these supplies in because they break down, they just wear down over time with use. So that's the first thing that you want to make sure. And if it's been a while or you don't remember when you last switched your mask and you're having leaks, switch to a new one, get a new mask. And then that way you can see if that was a problem. Some of this is very thin, by design, because if it was too thick fabric, that wouldn't be comfortable for people. So it's very thin. And so then it can, have little tears and little holes in it that the air can come from. The next thing that you want to do is, problem solve where exactly the leak is coming from. So we've got a bunch of entry points here, but you can see that there are two different, places where these straps would connect, and you can tighten these. So what you need to do is figure out, is the leak coming from up the top here? Is it coming from down the bottom? If it's coming from both, we've got a lot of work to do. You have to readjust everything, but you don't want it to be so tight on your face that it's uncomfortable, but it has to be tight enough so that it's not shifting and moving all throughout the night. Because if it gets just a little bit off from your nose, the air is no longer going to go up through your airway. It's going to go off to the side and out of your mask. So if you're finding it coming from the top here, you want to just tighten on each side, the top of your straps here. If you find that the leak is coming from the bottom, you want to adjust these bottoms and make it a little bit tighter. If that's still not working, you might not actually be using the correct size mask. So, and it can be hard, to sometimes figure this out, but what you would want to do in that situation, if it's been a while since you've gotten a mask fitting, or if you're just really not sure what you're doing, when you get a new mask, order what's called a fit pack or a start pack. So that's what I have here for this one, because I was actually, just trying out something new a couple of months ago, and I didn't know. I had actually never used this brand before. This is Fisher and Paykel, and so I had no idea what size I was going to be. So I got my start pack, and it sends you every single size of the mask so that you're able to try out which one is correct for you, and then moving forward which one to order. Now, with all of that being said, I don't experience mask leaks a lot, and most of the time it is because I just kind of forgot to replace my mask and it just was time for a new one. But a couple of months ago, I had a little mystery that I had to use my middle school science knowledge of the scientific method to sort of figure out what was going on. I was experiencing couldn't really feel the leaks, but in the middle of the night, I would wake up and there would be this whistling noise, which is indicative that there is some kind of leak happening. And so I was trying to figure it out, problem solving all the things that I actually just said to you. And what it actually ended up being was the one thing that had changed, in my environment was that right around that same time, I had gotten a new mattress, and the mattress was higher than the one that I had before. So I usually had my nightstand here, and then my mattress was like down here. And so this was sort of the proportion of where my CPAP was. Now it's like this. And so basically what I had to do was it sort of threw off like the positioning of the hose. So then I was kind of moving around a lot, and the hose was kind of pulling my mask around a lot. So it was kind of interesting that just like that shift in the proportions of like how much higher my CPAP machine was over my head in the bed really made that much of a difference. But what I did with that, easy peasy, it's been working ever since, was I started hanging my hose up so it's a little bit more taut. So you can either do it over your headboard so it just goes straight up, and it doesn't get and nothing's in the way of it. It doesn't move your mask around at all. Or Sleep Play actually does sell them. You can get hooks that go on your headboard to just like put the hose right over. So one of those few things should solve your problem with the leaks. Our final question is about replacing your supplies, which is also so critical for a lot of reasons. So somebody was asking, how often do you have to replace the mask? And so this mask, which is literally just this piece here, and on every mask, it will detach from what is called the headgear. So the mask here, you want to replace that every month. And then this headgear piece, you want to replace that every 3 months. So that's the end of the Q&A. Let us know in the comments here, and thank you for everybody that submitted your questions. I really do appreciate it, and we want to be able to help you answer more of them. So let us know in the comments if there's any other questions that you have, if you've tried any of these things to solve your problems, either with the aerophagia, with the leaks, with the cleaning, etc. Go to Sleep Play's website, sleepplay.com, check out their blogs. There's so much information, guys. That's the thing about Sleep Play. Not only are they selling the CPAP supplies and selling the accessories, but they do care about your overall patient experience. So there are blogs that they have on there that they've had experts write about all of these issues. So learn from people that have already been there, done it, and from the people that do this for a living. And I really do hope if you don't already love your CPAP, you do grow to love it, and that some of these tips can help you with that, because there's nothing more important than getting healthy sleep. All right, take care, you guys. Bye.